Death, illness, and a punch to the face. When the cameras are off, Rick Harrison has endured countless tragedies and setbacks. Rick Harrison was born to mother Joanne and U.S. Navy veteran father Richard in Lexington, North Carolina in 1965. He was also welcomed by two older siblings, Joseph and Sherry. Tragically, however, his sister Sherry, who suffered from Down syndrome, died at the age of 6. Richard, who was nicknamed the Old Man on Pawn Stars, once spoke about his only daughter in an interview with the Navy Times. The patriarch of the family explained that, having previously served his time in the military, he later re-enlisted to help pay for Sherry's medical treatment. In Rick's memoir, Licensed to Pawn, Richard also revealed that decades later, the death of Sherry still hit him hard. Referring to his long-standing marriage, he said, "Joanne and I have been married for 51 years, and there have been some ups and downs along the way. We've had our share of heartbreak. Little Sherry was born disabled with Down syndrome. She was the light of my life." Harrison is on the board of and the national spokesperson for the Epilepsy Foundation, an organization that is close to his heart. After all, when he was just 8 years old, the reality TV star was diagnosed with a neurological disorder.
I have epilepsy. I had seizures till the time from 8 years old to 18 years old.
Harrison damaged his muscles so severely as a youngster that he spent much of his childhood recovering in bed. Luckily, the North Carolina native found a way to cope with the condition. In an interview with the foundation, he explained, "The best way to entertain myself was to read, so I became very interested in history books.
I'm a bookworm. I'm an early bookworm. I read for hours every night.
Luckily, Harrison's seizures stopped as he entered adulthood, but he's still determined to help raise money for the disorder. Speaking about his charitable work with Fox News, Rick said, "It has been rewarding. I do a couple hundred hours a year, raising money for them, interacting with kids, and basically having a good time doing it." Rick was often upstaged on the reality TV show Pawn Stars by his dad, a no-nonsense kind of guy who didn't think twice about telling customers that they'd brought in a piece of junk. Sadly, both the reality TV show and those who knew and loved him suffered a major loss in 2018 when Richard Harrison died at the age of 77. In a heartfelt tribute posted on Instagram, Rick described his dad, who'd battled Parkinson's disease for years, as his hero. He wrote in the caption, "That I got to share him with so many others and they got to see what a great family man he was is something I am grateful to have experienced with him." Rick also uploaded photos of his father in both his younger Navy years and his later years as the Old Man on Pawn Stars. He continued in the post, "He lived a very full life, and through the History television show, Pawn Stars touched the lives of people all over, teaching them the value of loving your family, hard work, and humor." In 2022, Harrison was sued in a dispute about the ownership of the gold and silver pawn shop that had launched his family to global fame. And in a tabloid-friendly twist, the individual filing the lawsuit was his very own mother, Joanne. The matriarch, who is said to have inherited 49% of the store, claims that she'd been manipulated into signing over a controlling stake in the store. She also alleged that she hadn't been provided with its complete financial documentation by her son. Rick was adamant that he'd done nothing wrong, telling the Las Vegas Review-Journal, "The allegations are false, and I think that my 81-year-old mother is being manipulated by others for their personal gain." The situation got even worse months later, when Joanne decided to obtain a restraining order against her son, reportedly to ensure he couldn't siphon off any of her assets. Harrison went through every parent's worst nightmare in 2024, when his son, Adam, suddenly died at the age of just 39. A spokesperson for the family told people that a fentanyl overdose was the cause, although a coroner's report later revealed that it was a combination of methamphetamine and fentanyl toxicity. In a brief statement given to the press following the devastating news, the Harrisons said, "Our family is extremely saddened by the death of Adam. We ask for privacy as we grieve his loss." Rick, however, did take to Instagram to upload a photo of himself with his son, captioned, "You will always be in my heart. I love you, Adam." Donald Trump Jr. and YouTuber Dennis Rodey were just a few of the famous faces who took to the comments section to pay their respects to Adam. Rick later told Fox News, "The fentanyl crisis in this country must be taken more seriously. It seems it is just flowing over the borders and nothing is being done about it. We must do better." It appears as though Richard Harrison was always a no-holds-barred kind of guy that he presented himself on Pawn Stars. Just ask Rick, who after swearing at his dad as a teen, received a punch to the face. While recalling the episode on Fox News, Rick said, "I am laying on the ground. He looks at me and says, 'Old enough to talk to me like a man, old enough to get your ass beat like one.' I just got up, walked away, and never said another word about her. Instead of seeing this as a form of child abuse, Rick instead interpreted his pop's painful response as a valuable life lesson. He told Fox, "He really changed my perspective on life and how words have meaning. He was just an amazing individual. He taught that no matter what, you always take care of your kids, your family. If you have kids, you're a father for the rest of your life."